I'm Wendy Rutledge, and this is Palm Beach TV, a production of the Palm Beach Civic Association. Here's what is coming your way next on this week's Island News.
This breaking news just in, the town of Palm Beach has lifted its 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. curfew.
The governor issued an executive order not allowing municipalities to unnecessarily impact individuals and businesses, particularly as it relates to their economic and commercial rights. So that was, although there's sometimes a little bit of confusion in the legalese that attorneys use to construct these executive orders, as it related to a curfew, it was pretty clear that we were no longer able to operate under that curfew. So that was rescinded by the chief of police.
It is almost iridescent green, dangerously toxic, and possibly floating down to a waterway near you. We will talk to the experts about this alarming water crisis. FEMA has just come out with its new flood zones. Is your Palm Beach home in a newly designated floodplain? We will take a look. Seems like almost no one is wearing a mask anymore. We'll look at the do's and don'ts as more and more of us get vaccinated. And a hybrid annual meeting caps off a year like no other. The highlights of this year's inspiring annual meeting, it is all coming up next on Palm Beach TV. Part in-person, part Zoom, this year's Palm Beach Civic Association annual meeting was terrific. It was inspiring, really a celebration. And we're going to get to that in just a moment. First, though, it's an environmental catastrophe. It's going on a little bit west of here, but it has the very, very real potential of affecting just about everyone in the county, including those of us living on the island of Palm Beach. For several weeks now, we have seen media pictures of the chunky, highly toxic blue-green algae buildup concentrated in particularly frightening clumps at the Pahokee Marina. Since the water from Lake Okeechobee is discharged to, among other places, the Lake Worth Lagoon, and yes, that same body of water that abuts Palm Beach, I decided to go out there and take a look. But Marina closed signs, barriers, including a sheriff deputy on site, barred me and anyone interested in seeing this environmental disaster from access to the scene.
I was barred from going to the Pahokee Marina by police who said it's been determined that it's too toxic for human exposure. What does that tell us?
It tells us, how dire the situation is.
A dire situation that the heat of summer will only make worse.
This year, starting even earlier, leads to a lot of concern because we're not even in the summer yet. And also the lake is at a higher level. So because of the lake level, they expect that there might be an increased need for discharges to the coastal estuaries this summer. And if the water in the lake is toxic, that could mean a huge problem for our estuaries in the Lake Worth Lagoon.
We'll get to the impact on the Lake Worth Lagoon, but first, what about people like this fisherman, Roosevelt Mitchell?
There's a lot of green toxic stuff in the water here. Does that concern you?
Yes.
How so?
The pollution is real dirty. People come here and fish. Pollution of the fish, of everything supposed to be clean. The area is real bad. The smell, the odor.
It's extremely scary because there's people that live in proximity to the lake. There's people who fish out of the lake for sustenance. I mean, there's a large community of people that get their meals from fish that they catch in the lake. And that's really concerning to see people out there.
I did not ask him whether he was going to eat those fish, but I presume he will. What kind of danger is he in?
Lots of danger. I mean, that's that breaks my heart every time I'm out there sampling. I see that every time. I mean, people who are fishing in Pahokee and in Canal Point, they're not fishing for sport, right? They're not doing like what I do, which is, fly fishing and releasing the fish. They're feeding their families with this stuff. They're fishing out of necessity. It's sustenance fishing. And every time they eat fish that's contaminated with cyanobacteria, there's just that much more of that stuff being introduced into their body.
The toxicity of the cyanobacteria found in the toxic blue-green algae is said to be about 100 times a tolerable level for human exposure, a toxicity that leads to neurodegenerative diseases like ALS and Alzheimer's. We are here at Spillway Park, which is in Lake Worth, and it's right here where the water comes from Lake Okeechobee and flows right through on into the Lake Worth Lagoon. And already that toxic blue-green algae has been spotted right here, water flowing from the lake right into the Lake Worth Lagoon.
Right now, half of, if not a little bit more than half of Palm Beach County is covered in this stuff in terms of, at least in the main canals, the canals that are seeing Lake Okeechobee water, because right now that water is being sent in our direction towards the Lake Worth Lagoon. So it's slowly making its way throughout the county.
An environmental disaster we are all now feeling, dating back to decades of pollution from areas to the north of Lake O and the agribusiness surrounding it.
The lake is so polluted that if the water that went into it was perfectly pure for 100 years, polluted water would still flow out the other end.
A few years ago, the presence of toxic blue-green algae in the Lake Worth Lagoon forced the closure of Peanut Island on a crowded holiday weekend. That was due to a small amount of the dangerous green goo, a situation that may pale in comparison to the magnitude of this year's problem. We will stay on top of this story all summer long, as the heat and rain are sure to intensify the already troubling toxic situation. Meantime, Roosevelt Mitchell puts it this way.
Health-wise, it's German. It's when you breathe it in, and everything got to be a concern. They got to take care of this. It's got to be taken care of.
No one disputes the fact that sea level rise is a very real thing and that the island of Palm Beach is very vulnerable to the flooding that goes with it. Well, now FEMA has issued its new floodplain maps that will tell us whether your home is in one of these new floodplain areas. Take a look at this newly released FEMA flood map for the northern part of Palm Beach Island, and you'll see spots of red and blue. It's the red areas that mark the flood risk.
These areas are now going to be in the 1% chance flood area. Basically, they'll be in the high hazard flood areas, the areas in red.
Palm Beach residents Brad and Susan Gary don't need a map to tell them where those flood-prone areas are. On their frequent kayaking excursions, they've spotted flooding and erosion all along the island perimeter.
In addition to kayaking, we walk and bike the lake trail and have for the 20 years that we've been here. And there's a lot more flooding. There's spots now that are regularly flooded, which we didn't see years ago.
Surprisingly, the new preliminary FEMA flood maps are the first revision to the coastal studies conducted some 40 years ago.
The study that's on the existing maps were about 40 years old. That coastal study is 40 years old. And I've told people technology has really changed in 40 years. We've got better data. We've got better topography. We just have better data, period.
If you ask the Garys, the new maps just confirm what they've noticed in recent years: more flooding due to sea level rise.
It's much more frequent than it used to be, and it is much more severe. The flooding that we see on the trail, the erosion down in front of the Palm Beach Country Club on the water, much more frequent.
You get a 2-foot rise in tide above mean high water. You flood a lot of these properties, and I think that's what your FEMA study showed.
FEMA does not get into causation, just the data that with newer technology has better defined areas prone to flooding and, surprisingly, newly defined areas removed from the flooding designation. That's because the technology to measure elevation has greatly improved in, well, 4 decades.
The modeling that we had back then did a real good job of modeling the coastline. But once you got inland, the models weren't that accurate. The models we use now are more accurate when it comes to mapping inland.
The new maps are preliminary and will not be officially mandated for the next 18 months, which gives homeowners who now find their property falls in a red flood-prone area a unique and time-sensitive opportunity.
They're seeing it now. They need to go ahead and get flood insurance and get what we call a preferred risk policy, which means that would be for areas that are on the maps as low to moderate risk flood areas. And they would get a lot cheaper flood insurance policy to get it now before the maps become effective. And then they'll have to get a different flood insurance policy, which would be for the higher risk areas. So they're better off to go ahead and get the low risk policy now while they still can. And then any of the grandfathering effects that go into play later on, they would be able to, they would be able to take advantage of that.
Just where are we in this COVID-19 pandemic? And if we're vaccinated, can we let our guard down? Fire Rescue Division Chief Sean Baker sorts that out for us.
Everywhere you go, everything is open. There's no one wearing a mask, right? And the guidance says that if you're vaccinated and you can still socially distance, you can go without a mask as a vaccinated person. People are taking that guidance now as a free-for-all, saying anyone now cannot wear a mask as long as you're distance. Outside, there are some conversations about not having to wear a mask, that the transmission rate is lower. However, the rule of thumb, and to be safe, is to continue to wear a mask if you cannot socially distance, especially when you're inside. We're both vaccinated here, so that's why I'm not wearing a mask at this time. That is the best practice, right? Follow the guidelines. I know everyone's tired. I know we've been at this for a long time, but we just have a little bit longer as we get more people vaccinated.
I think we all kind of probably know somebody who has not, they're nervous about it.
Sure.
Can we as individuals, should we step up? Is there something we should say to them?
Especially for, both of us who are vaccinated. It behooves us to be able to talk to people that we know, friends, family members, and let them know, look, we're vaccinated. It's okay. We're fine. If we can get people vaccinated quickly, that will be the key to get to herd immunity. But that's our biggest concern right now.
It's hard to imagine a year more challenging than the year we all went through last year. And those challenges extended to trying to do business for the Palm Beach Civic Association. In fact, it was anything but business as usual. And yet, as we heard so well put at last week's annual meeting, those challenges brought out the best in everyone.
Good morning. Welcome to the Palm Beach Civic Association's virtual annual meeting. I'm Bob Wright, the chairman and CEO, and I call this meeting to order.
And so it began. This year's annual meeting, a bit more personal than last year's, with presenters and award recipients actually in the same room, while members watched live on Zoom. First acknowledgement went to the meeting sponsor, Palm Beach Island Hospice Foundation.
No one should suffer alone. Everyone should be able to reach out and find a platform and help in channeling their grief and taking positive steps forward for their life in the future. So whether that's a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a niece, a nephew, a dog, we're here, and please ask for help.
Palm Beach Civic Association Chairman Bob Wright reminding us all of the theme for which the 77th season was dedicated.
This season was dedicated in honor of the life-saving leaders in our community. We appreciate our police and fire rescue departments and our town employees for their service and dedication to public safety. To all on the front lines, we thank you.
which led to Civic Association Public Safety Committee Chair Dave Duffy's presentation of the 2021 Wright Award.
Our award recipients this year are Chief Darrell Donato and Division Chief Sean Baker. We regret that Sean is out of town, but we look forward to presenting him next week. The Civic Association Chief has an award called the Wright Award, which honors distinguished leadership. And in our community, you have certainly done that this year with our virus pandemic. We can't thank you enough. Please accept on behalf of all the people of Palm Beach this award.
Thank you so very much. Really appreciate you. And what you guys done.
You're the best, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to say thank you for the Civic Association and Mr. Duffy. This is amazing, and we're just happy to be part of the community, and we love the partnership with the Civic Association helping the community. Thank you.
Co-chair of the Civic Association's Environmental Beautification Committee, Dragana Connaughton, then acknowledged the exceptional work done by the Garden Club of Palm Beach and SMI Landscape Architects for their creation of the Tidal Garden at Bradley Park.
Congratulations to Mary Presley, President, and Betsy Matthews, past president of the Garden Club, and to Brian Vertich of SMI Landscape Architecture. Thank you for everything that you've done.
Then to the retiring and much beloved and admired former Mayor Gail Coniglio, this tribute.
Gail, on behalf of the Palm Beach Civic Association, Executive Committee, directors, and members, we thank you and salute you. Congratulations on your well-deserved retirement. As you begin the next chapter, we have a special gift for you to chart your course and to continue looking forward.
The elegant telescope, a befitting gift for the vision and leadership Gail Coniglio bestowed on this town for more than a decade. Speaking of looking forward, Mayor Donnie Moore's inspiring annual address.
Here in Palm Beach, we are surrounded by the evidence of more than 100 years of hard work to create a town where people believe that success means more than titles or money or even connections. It truly means being an integral part of a community where people genuinely care about each other and collaborate on meeting the challenges of their shared future.
Gratitude, the resounding theme of the day.
The 2021 annual fundraising goal was achieved, and we have ended our fiscal year in the black. Your continued membership support has been critical to this and is much appreciated.
We wish to thank our 16 standing committee chairs and those members who serve on these committees. What a difference you have made by educating our community on key and critical issues. We are grateful to each of you and your service.
Mary herself and the Critical Needs Committee receiving accolades for their work through the Save Our Produce and Nourishing Our Neighbors in Need initiatives.
This situation was a unique situation where the Civic Association, really under Mary's leadership, jumped in, saw a problem, fixed that problem, and dealt with it in a way that was extremely successful for everybody, for the farmers, for the community, those in need of food. And it was really a great example of the Civic Association stepping in and playing a very vital role in helping people during a very difficult time.
Locally, a dire slowdown for farmers in Palm Beach County and direct decline of demand for local produce. Simultaneously, there was a direct cause of increased unemployment, thus creating the greater needs for Palm Beach County. An idea was born: Save Our Produce Initiative.
Looking forward now to next season.
There are so many people in Palm Beach that are very, very special. You don't come here when you're 21. You come here when you're older and you've accomplished a lot of things and you buy your houses and so forth. And that has, we sometimes don't have an opportunity to let those people speak to us. And we're going to try to work on that during the course of the time.
It's going to be a very exciting season with the lineup of the different events, in-person events, where we're going to get to see our members in person again. And I think that everyone's going to be thrilled to be back together.
So that wraps up this week's Palm Beach TV newscast. We thank you for watching. And if you did enjoy it, why don't you share it with a friend by forwarding the link you see below. Meantime, if you are not a member of the Palm Beach Civic Association, we hope you'll join us. And if you are a member, please renew. We will see you next week on Palm Beach TV, a production of the Palm Beach Civic Association, where membership matters.